tie match at the drop. Double gen pop to avoid the deadlock. They do go down. There is a haste status effect. They did be careful here. The hatch is going to spawn momentarily. Dead Hard could get them the distance to get it too.
Really smart play on the ace. Oh my god, getting shot through the window.
No longer have distortion, and they are going to teleport here. I think they get there in time. Yes!
Holy crap, yes!
Oh my god!
That is disappointing.
This is be a 4-man out because
Yeah, but they will be able to block this. Yo, getting caught on that. Ace coming with the body block. Oh, they were here.
Hey, what is up, guys? It's Giltspire here, and welcome back to Champions of the Fog. And today I am joined by Tuliko. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, Gilt. How are you?
Pretty good. Cannot complain. I am excited for today's match. We are kicking things off strong with Cult versus Arctic Wolves on the Father's Campbell's Chapel. And we're going to be seeing a nurse mirror starting off in set number 1.
That should be incredibly exciting. I got to see a nurse mirror yesterday as well, so I'll be interested to see how things shake out. Things didn't necessarily go as we would have anticipated, so I'm excited. I'm excited to see this match.
It's going to be interesting. Nurse matches are very much hit or miss. Either they are quick and quiet and, go out without a hitch, or they are heart-pounding, nonstop action. And really, it comes down to the survivors and how well they play against the nurse. So I'm very interested to see here what Arctic Wolf Survivor team will be able to do against Colt's Nurse here. And we see Nurse starting off strong, trying to identify where these survivors are. What are your thoughts on Father Campbell's Chapel? I don't mind it, but I'm not the biggest fan of Crotus Pren maps in general.
Out of the two, I prefer this one.
100%.
Because the celebrity horse Maurice lives here. But also, I prefer this main building, I think. And usually there's a lot of really good tiles that you can run here. Sometimes I feel like the other Crotus map feels a little sparse.
That is fair, but looks like Nurse has found her first victim, and that'll be the first hit on Adam here, and a quick double tap for the first down. Adam getting caught out there in a little bit of a dead zone. Nurse looking around, thinking with the way they're looking around, maybe some Scourge Hook action? No Scourge Hook there, it would seem, but a pop goes the Weasel instead, and these survivors are very keenly aware of the perk, the Natophobia. And with some more crows coming back over here, I think these survivors are trying to crank out this 3-gen before it gets dicey.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. The Natophobia is 100% one of my least favorite perks. It makes for a slow and grindy game. It makes sense that you want to try and get as many things done as you can before everyone is injured and slowing down everything.
Yeah, it is rough, but you know what ain't slowing down? This Nurse right here, going for the tunnel out on the Adam, but Ace coming in time, but not in time for the flashlight save.
Mistimed just by a hair. That's the worst feeling when you pick up the beam and you're like, God, I know I've got this, and then you miss.
Yeah, I feel like that is almost a worse feeling when, you have it lined up than missing your D-strike.
Oh, God, yeah. Oof.
But now we have Ace slugged. We have Adam back on hook. We have Claudette there running away from the Nurse. And not to mention, Zarina still injured. These survivors are in a dire situation, to say the least.
Not to mention the fact that that would be 0 gens completed at this point, which is always incredibly concerning. 2 hits at 5 gens, not ideal.
Ooh.
2
Nurse.
slugs, 2
Yeah.
hits at 5 gens, not ideal.
Ace back up, though. Ace back up. Not sure if that was an Unbreakable or if that was a pickup, but Ace is running off into the distance. And it looks like, I don't know, this timer has been going down for quite some time. It may have stopped earlier and I had not even noticed it, but it is possible that Adam had kinship.
I think Adam did have kinship because they have been on second stage for quite a while.
Yeah, I was kind of sitting here like, wait, shouldn't you be dead already?
Yeah, I think that's what the nurse is thinking as well. It looks like she's kind of biding her time, waiting for things to progress here.
Yeah, and we do see Zarina getting back up. I am very willing to bet at least one of those instances between the Ace and Zarina. Unbreakable has been used. One person out of the game, as we see here. Adam about to go back to the campfire, and Nurse checking out this gen once again finds the Claudette, the only uninjured survivor, and their first whiff of the game.
Oof. Definitely hit through the window, though. We'll see if this Claude can take the nurse on a bit of a run, or if she's going to move on. Nope.
Goes from the Claude to the Zarina in the blink of an eye.
In the blink of an eye, Gil?
Yes, indeed.
Did you make that pun without realizing it?
Oh, no, absolutely. That was 100% on purpose.
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
Things can be difficult, a little bit hard to shoehorn puns here and there in Dead by Daylight, much like that Dead Hard we saw from Zarina. But unfortunately, it isn't enough, as Zarina will end up exhausted on the ground and back on a hook for this Nurse. Nurse really controlling this map and ensuring that these survivors have no chance of completing this 3-gen here.
So at this point, and there is that Scourge hook you were talking about. Finally getting some value on that, which is nice to see. At this point, what do you do if you're the survivors? You're at 5 gens, you've got somebody out, you've got someone on hook. You know she's got infinite transportation power on this map. What are you gonna do now?
It really depends on what the nurse is doing, and here's probably the worst case scenario. If the nurse were to just camp out and sit on the gen, and sit on that 3-gen, then you can just sit on the gen as survivor and call it a day. However, as we see here, Nurse opting to go to the other side of the map, privy to that idea, will end up getting some downs on these survivors instead, ensuring that these survivors don't complete a single gen. I mean, if you're a survivor, you're just hoping and praying that you can get 1, 2, if 3 gens completed to, make sure that the match point is close towards the end of the match, or even give your Nurse a little bit of a chance of tying up the game in some way, shape, or form.
This is true. I will say that both of our other survivors have reset, which is good to see. But the problem is when you've got 3 survivors at 5 gens, nobody is ever doing a gen because someone is always hooked, someone is always rescuing, and usually someone is always injured. There's almost nothing you can do at this point other than, sacrifice 2 of your friends and sit on a generator and hope she decides, not to come and look for you. But this nurse is being incredibly proactive, so I would be very surprised if that was the case.
Yeah, not to mention we see here Nurse once again passing up one of those close by hooks and instead going to one a bit farther away, which would suggest to me a bit of Scourge hook action. And if that's the case, Nurse will be able to know what generator they are working on.
And they were really sticking to this one in the back, which I don't know. I don't know, man. I think this is going to end poorly for our survivors, which is unfortunate because I am a biased Survivor fan. But I don't know. I don't see them getting anything done, which is very unfortunate for the team.
Yeah, this definitely comes into play a lot with our killer selection, where you kind of have to weigh your chances, right? Of, do we ban Nurse? Do we not ban Nurse? If we don't ban Nurse, are we confident that our Nurse is better than their Nurse, or our survivors are better than their Nurse? And we see here where, maybe it would have been a good idea to ban the Nurse because she is just outright slaughtering these survivors. Though, finding the Claudette there, I think, is this the first time that we've really found the Claudette?
No, Claudette's been hooked once.
Okay, I was about to say, I want to say maybe
actually,
not.
No, you're right. Maybe Claudette has not been hooked. She went for the Zarina instead. Yeah, I think this is... And she's leaving hers, too. She's not she's not pursuing that too much. I think she seems like she's just trying to scare her off working on this gen and... Oh, never mind.
And that there will be a bit of a scare, that's for sure. And Nurse will get that hit and attempt to get this down here, trying to identify which way to Claudette has gone. Unable to get the down, however. And Claude going on for a little bit of a good run here, but not long enough for these survivors to do a generator.
Yeah, I agree with you, backtracking slightly, in terms of choosing banning or not banning Nurse, because... You know, we've said it before, but going against Nurse is like playing a different game. So many of the strats that you have as Survivor just don't work quite as well. And were it me, I would always ban Nurse because I think it's easy to think that you've got the best Nurse and then be wrong, you know?
Yeah, no, that is fair. That is fair. I mean, fact of the matter is, we saw in last season, not including a time where she was banned due to bugs in the kill switch, we saw a 63% ban rate on the first phase of bans to avoid her being picked in any capacity. And that was, I think, in Group A, and a 73% ban rate across the entire league in ban phase 1. We've definitely seen more nurses this season, for better or for worse.
Yeah, Nurse is a tricky one. Nurse is always scary to go against because, you know, especially if you're a super altruistic player, going against Nurse is like...
Ooh.
One of the worst things because you can't really body block. You can't take hits.
Yep.
It's so much harder.
No doubt about that. I will say, though, Zarina with a beautifully timed dead hard, just barely out of the range of that Nurse's blink strike. Unfortunately, it will not matter as Claudette goes back down, and Nurse here will avoid a D-strike.
Somewhere in and amongst all of this, I missed this completely because some noises are bugged, but they managed to get a generator done, so...
Yep.
That is excellent to see.
You know, Nurse might not be bugged anymore as far as the gameplay is concerned. However, as you can tell, there is no chase music, and some sounds are a little bit wonky, to say the least. So hopefully that is addressed in the next update, as it's a bit awkward when you're playing the game and there's no sounds whatsoever. Looks like no decisive strike after all on the Claudette, and now it comes down to finding the ace. He has been down on the ground for quite some time. The question is, will the Nurse be able to find him before he bleeds out?
That's true, and I thought, depending on where she had gotten the Claudette, I thought maybe he would be able to have a shot at Hatch because he had gone down right next to Shaq, but I think he's made the smarter decision to just try and hide out and let him bleed out.
And Nurse seeing that death on hook right there, going immediately for the Hatch, wants to make sure that they are dotting their I's, crossing their T's, and making sure that Ace cannot escape. No adrenaline as well on the Ace. Now, if you were this Ace, where would you choose to bleed out? Where would be the safe spot to hide?
Honestly, I might go basement. You know?
Basement definitely is a choice. We've seen a few people try that with some success. Now, I want to say the Nurse may have seen what I saw too, and may have seen a crow come back. I don't know, though. They're looking around, and this Ace has only a few moments left in this realm before they are sent back to the campfire. And though not much, it will mean that the Nurse will lose out on 3 points.
Yeah, in the context of this particular game, perhaps 3 points doesn't seem like a lot, but 3 points can do a lot in the larger context of things. And I see that she is also checking the basement.
And there she found him. Look at that!
Wow!
Right with 0 seconds left before the bleed out.
Wow!
And
that
Ace
was wild.
That was insane. Ace even trying to bait the potential locker grab instead. Nurse thankfully understand what's happening there, looked away, picked them up right as he was primed to bleed out. Talk about a close call.
This was an absolutely insane match. I think it's clear to say that our Nurse was absolutely cracked. these survivors did the best they could, but I'm not sure what more they could have done. It was just a rough match for them from start to finish.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. But with that being said, we will be flipping sides now. And though Arctic Wolves did suffer underneath the pressure that was Colt's Nurse, they will now be able to flip the script and see what they can do. Will they be able to come out with a 4K before a single gen is completed? It is a tall task, but not an impossible one, as we have seen before.
Indeed, we've seen stranger things happen in the context of Champions of the Fog.
Well,
it'll be exciting to see.
We can't see Stranger Things anymore here in DBD.
God, I said the same thing yesterday, and Rue made the same darn joke. You know, you think I'd learn.
Maybe one day, Hawkins will return. Honestly, I do miss me some Hawkins.
I miss Hawkins too. I miss Hawkins, if for no other reason, solely for the variety of it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, speaking of like content getting potentially removed in some way, shape, or form, there is a lot of speculation around a lot of the IP like killers and even survivors. We have, I think, Bubba is potentially getting their own game, and supposedly through some data mining might be removed from the store in some way, shape, or form. There's Ash and the Evil Dead game coming out, so I'm not sure if maybe Ash will get removed from the store as well. So it's really interesting seeing how, as time goes on and as these IPs have been licensed by Behavior for so long, whether or not they're going to get removed.
Unfortunately, that's kind of the risk that you run when you start doing IPs. And I always find it interesting when I look through comments on the Dead by Daylight page on Twitter. I always see people asking for IPs, and I just kind of think, I don't know that I want more IPs, because IPs can get taken away, you know? And I think it's really unfortunate, I think it's really unfortunate that there's a lot of people who won't get to play Demo, because Demo is a really fun killer to play, you know? So I am much less excited for IPs than I am for them to be coming up with new content on their own. And I hope that maybe that's a route they'll start to go more. I know that it won't make them as much money, maybe, but it also means that they won't have content taken away from their players.
Yeah, that's true. And we are going to be seeing a new chapter come out with Chapter 26, the anniversary chapter. But we are going to talk about that maybe a little bit more after our quick break. As a reminder, guys, we here at Champions of the Fog are not sponsored. So all the ads that you watch, all the bits that you tip, all the subs that you buy, all go to supporting Champions of the Fog and the Dead by Daylight League that we run here. So we really do appreciate you guys, and we will be back in just a little bit. All right, and we are back. We are with Arctic Wolves versus Cult. This time, Arctic Wolves killing against Cult Survivor Team, and once again, it is going to be a nurse on the Father Campbell's Chapel. The question of the day, though, is can Arctic Wolves Killer manage to get a 4K before one gen is completed? We've seen it happen before. It's definitely rare sight, but only time will tell. What are your thoughts here?
Well, I'll say one thing. If I were the nurse coming into this match, I'd make sure to pay a quick trip to Maurice before we get going with things. You know, you visit Maurice, you have good luck in the match. This is how it goes, you know? I think
That is fair.
A big ask and a big job to do. It's not impossible. I fully believe in them. And also, I would still go visit Maurice. I would ask for a little extra luck. Sometimes that helps.
Yep. Yeah, I think here it really is going to come down to what type of build they have available to them. And it's going to need to be just ultra slowdown, ultra gen regression. And I will say, if we look at this 3-gen again, I want to say it's the same 3-gen, if not a little bit different. There's not a gen on the left there. Instead, there's a gen to the right. But it's once again a really tight 3-gen.
I was about to say, I think it's an even smaller, or really like a nicer 3-gen than the first one was. So they can make this work for them, but they're gonna have to work for it, and that is not going to have helped.
Yeah, that there is already one Hex Totem out of the game, and as we see there is a second one that the Ace has passed by. Nurse, though, losing the Ace. Not sure where he went. Looks like he went back into the shack to buy these survivors a little bit of time. They know full well what their win condition is, and it is a single generator to
Honestly,
tie it up.
I think if I were these survivors coming into this match, I would throw most caution aside, and I would get a friend, and I'd say, let's just go sit one gen together and pump it out, because that's all they've got to do.
100%. 100%. There's no doubt about that. And that's the biggest thing. You do want to, like, make sure you set yourself up well for the match point, but when you know the win condition, as, you know, simple as it is to do one gen to tie, 2 to win, like, you just set 2 people on gens and you call it a day.
Exactly. And I think, unfortunately, our nurse has spent too much time already, and there goes that one gen that they need. I am worried for our nurse friend at this point.
Yeah, at this point in time, with one gen completed, tying up the match, so they would need to get a 4K right now. I think the best thing that they can aim for here is to try and ensure that the match point is close, set themselves up for set number 2. But we see here this Nia just driving this nurse crazy, and they are in a very long chase, especially as Nia, passing by the Hex Totem, will probably announce that to their survivor team.
And there's that second gen done. Which, it's hard. I don't know what the solution would have been here to try and tie this up. It was a lot to do. I think not only having the fact that the survivors had a pretty good shot at winning this going into it, but the fact that there was probably a lot of pressure on this nurse to play really well, maybe factoring into how this match goes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. We do see that second Hex Totem get cleansed, and it is officially a 1 perk nurse. And these survivors know full and well that it is the Thanatophobia.
Yeah, this is going to be a rough rest of this match for this nurse. I have a feeling that this match could go pretty quickly. And unfortunately, without any endgame perks, I don't see there being much of a slowdown towards endgame either.
Yeah, you would be right. Nurse there, not sure if that was a fake or a purposeful. Either way, does secure the hit on the Nia. And Nurse trying to identify her path and will be going for this chase and the second down of the match.
I do think that she is making the right choice here in trying to commit a little more to chases at this point. Trying to get as many points as she can. I think it would be easy right now to get, to be chasing this Nia and say, God, this chase is too long. I've got to bail. But I think she's making the right choice by just committing and trying to secure as many hooks as she can.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. Actually, now instead, going to be breaking off that main gen, going for their 3 gen. I think that makes a lot of sense here, but unfortunately, without any form of gen regression, they are going to be at a huge disadvantage, to say the least.
We indeed, and we can at this point say that they were running Undying Ruin, and it's incredibly unfortunate that that got cleansed as early as it did. Although it did, you know, it didn't get cleansed until that 2nd gen was done, so again, it wouldn't have made that much difference, but still, every little bit helps in a situation like this.
Yeah, and I mean, right now we're seeing kind of Nurse get her feet underneath her, maybe some early game jitters, but now able to successfully get these downs in rapid succession. I mean, the first down didn't happen until after the first gen was completed, and now we are 1 for 1 on gens to hooks as we speak, as Nurse once again finds the Nia, and looks like that is a deliverance on the Michaela.
It sure does, and she's going right back, which might mean she might have DS. But at this point, I think using every bit of information that you have, I had a sentence and I lost it in my brain, and I apologize.
Honestly, I can understand why. That was a very interesting down there on the Ace.
I was expecting to see the Michaela. I was really confused for a second. They did a great little bait and switch.
Yeah, I saw the Ace, and I knew that he was still injured. It's just the question of I didn't expect him to go down there when he did, and Nia doing a fantastic job here, dodging the Nurse, and Ace already being unhooked.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job, too, of, taking chase from each other and not allowing the Nurse to hard camp anybody or to get anyone out of the match completely. They're trading hooks, which in this case is working really well for them. I think... Hello, Ace. That was... This Ace is just kind of everywhere.
Yeah, Ace kind of caught out in that corner there, trying to get away from the Nurse as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, though, I don't think he has enough distance here as he's trying to use this rock to his advantage. But looks like Nurse will mess up the blink on the hill, and Ace will get a second chance here.
That may have been a little bit of intimidation from that beamer, because you know what they say, Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Need a flashlight? Go to Ace.
Go to Ace.
In this case, maybe his corpse. But with that being said, Ace will go back up on the hill. And I believe this will be his 2nd hook of the game. I mean, like I said, Nurse coming back towards the latter half of the match. Unfortunately, though, that there will be the 5th gen completed. And at most here, I do believe we will be seeing a 1K for the Nurse.
I do think that it's worth saying that it's commendable how this Nurse played out the rest of this match. I think it would have been very easy to be really defeated and just kind of maybe not make quite as good decisions, not play quite as hard because you know that you've already kind of lost this match. But she's really done
Ooh. I heard the footsteps, and I was like, oh, please hear him too. Swing out, do it. But unfortunately, she did not. I will say Ace is here for that flashlight save. Looks like the Nurse will know better and will force this Ace out for... Even better yet, who needs to force the Ace out when you can get the death hook instead and then go back for the 2nd and the 2K? This could be actually pretty huge here. Michaela is back up, potentially with an Unbreakable. Question is, will the Nurse be able to identify where she is? They do, and now it is a mad dash to the shack, I believe.
I don't know. I think they might be going for door.
I think you're right. I think you're right. And there's the attempt. There's the flashlight. But it is still, once again, not enough. Nurse going to be pushing this Nia out of the exit gate. Unfortunately, not able to get the hit to do so. Honestly, don't care about the Atom. You need to watch out for the Nia instead. But using exit gate as a visual blocker, that there will be another hook.
Yeah, unfortunately that Michaela crawled into exactly the right spot to be picked up so as to avoid a blind, but this is really turned around. They played really well. I am impressed that they have managed to eke out this 2K. I think they did exactly what they needed to do after the match had kind of a rough start. And, you know, maybe that gave them a little more freedom to play more aggressively in the way they wanted to.
Yeah, from very much a losing battle at the very start to now where it's a 2K9 hook to end things. Honestly, really good showing by the nurse there in the latter half of the match. And that is going to result in the total match points to be a whole lot closer than they were before. And we are going to once again see the Arctic Wolves killing against Cult. However, for set number 2, we're going to be moving to the Suffocation Pit, and we'll be seeing some of the rootin' tootin' shootin' cowboy himself, the Deathslinger.
Oh, I'm so excited. I love Suffo Pit as a survivor. I love seeing matches on Suffo Pit. I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time. Potentially a grinding match depending on the gen layout, but it should be a fun time nonetheless. But with that being said, as we are going to be getting this lobby set up here in just a moment, I do want to remind everyone that we are partnered with Champions, or actually Stream for a Cause, and we have spun up our fundraiser called Champions for a Cause. For those who don't know who Stream for a Cause is, they are a nonprofit organization based here in the United States who support a whole litany of different causes, from Going Green to LGBTQA+, to the refugees in Ukraine, and a whole lot more. So if you guys are able to, please do donate even just $1 to Champions for a Cause, the fundraiser that we spun up with them. And do know that your donations do make an impact on Championship of Champions in December, where the best of Champions of the Fog will be duking it out for the grand prize. With that being said, we'll be back in just a little bit. All right, and we are back with trial number 3, set number 2, this time on the Suffocation Pit with Arctic Wolves Deathslinger. What are your thoughts here on the Rootin' Tootin' Shootin' Cowboy himself? I know a lot of people kind of iffy about him since his nerf, but what are your thoughts?
I love Suffocation Pit. I think it's a super fun map. I have not seen hardly any Deathslinger since his nerf. Like, basically, since he and Spirit got nerfed, those are two of the killers that I see the least. I will say that I think Deathslinger has the ability to potentially do well on Suffo Pit, although there are a lot of places that survivors can, dip, duck, dive, and dodge around corners. But I'm excited to see this because, like I said, I don't see a ton of Deathslinger anymore.
You know what they say, if you can dodge a spirit gun, you can dodge a ball.
That is true.
And
this ball just happens to be pointy and wants to, get shot through your throat.
Exactly. But we did see a survivor there off the start. Looks like they're trying to bring Deathslinger into the corrupted zone. And I want to say that's something that we did see happen there on the last nurse match. So only time will tell to see if the survivor's gambit will pay off, as Deathslinger will get a hit over the pallet.
Yeah,
so
the first dropping that very early.
Yeah, I think they're trying to get something to work there where maybe Slinger wasn't aware that it was down, but Slinger was keen on that idea and has officially boxed the ace out. Unfortunately, though, a little bit of an early shot, unable to get it to connect.
That's the thing with matches like Deathslinger and Pyramid Head, any of the ranged killers, it's always a really interesting mind game because you've got both people trying to outthink the other. It's not just about running up behind them and hitting them. It's about, can I make you go this way? Can I make you go that way? That's not the way I would have gone, but...
No, I mean, that is a really important thing to think about. It really, like you said, is a bunch of mind games and playing around what each other's going to do. And we see there Claudette understanding full well what the Deathslinger was going to do, and a beautiful dead hard to get away.
Yeah, I hesitate when I'm going up against Deathslinger to be too directly in front of him, going between two walls that are very much going to box me in, but she did a really great job getting away from that, and they are doing a really good job of covering for each other.
And Adam trying their best here to avoid being hit. Unfortunately, Deathslinger boxing them in and being patient. Honestly, I think if you're patient, as we're seeing here, Deathslinger can just be such a nightmare. And let's see if these prison chains will get the Slinger the distance. Unfortunately not.
Oof. But look at that. We have the Nia coming in to take some aggro. You'll notice a lot of people have been hit, or a number of people have been hit and injured, but nobody has been hooked yet because they're doing a really good job of playing altruistically, but very smartly. Taking aggro, getting in the way, but not putting themselves in too much danger either, and that's always really good to see.
Yeah, overall, really smart play here. Unfortunately, though, the survivors are doing a fantastic job of not only playing altruistically, but also working on these gens, as the first gen has been completed, and I imagine the second not far behind.
I think you're probably right, and it looks like that gen may have been down in that corrupt zone. We did get a blind there. Really nicely done by the ace.
I was about to say, beautiful job there by the ace, to say the least. Able to get that hit and make sure that Nia does not go down. Now, though, with those prison chains once again trying to get the hit, unfortunately not able to get around the corner, will end up a little bit short.
Indeed, and it does look like, though, with that other add-on they're running, that they're doing a much quicker reload time, which is good for them because it's going to allow them to get the most shots they can.
Yeah, prison chains and the warden's keys. Add-on match made in heaven, to say the least. I don't think you see a Deathslinger without him at this point in time.
That was brave.
You know, just doing a quick little heal out in the open. Not much to talk about.
Although, to be honest, at this point, pulling him down to this side of the map is probably the ideal move.
It is indeed. Unfortunately, though, Spider with the quick mind game puts Nia in the kissing booth, and that will be the first down of the match.
Oh, that is not an angle ace, but it was a good attempt. Good teammate.
Look, all I'm saying is that I've seen stranger angles than that, so I can understand why the ace that made an attempt at the very least.
That is true. That's a very good point.
Now the question is, will Ace be around to be down? But looks like that will not be the case. I'm surprised the Slinger at this point is opting to go to this side of the map. We see that their 3-gen is already broken. They still have a 3-gen over on Shaq's side. And I think Slinger is actually realizing that now themselves and is opting to push back into safer territory.
Indeed. I think that, unfortunately, the survivors have set themselves up for a very successful run here. Except...
I'm trying to see what you're trying to see of what gen just popped off.
Oh, see, and... Well, I'm not sure that's the gen I would have gone for, but I'm not a comp player, and so I don't know, there might be a strat here, but I would be very concerned about the fact that they now must get one of these 3 gens done. They have to, because if they don't, then they have essentially 3-gen themselves again.
I'm
very surprised that was one of the far gens that just popped.
It's one of those situations of sometimes you just need to commit to a side of the map and opt to, work into the 3-gen, because at the very least you get, 4 gens completed. We saw how on that first trial where if they didn't focus so hard into the 3-gen that they may have been able to get more. So I think that's probably the thought process here by these survivors.
And there we have that deliverance, so heading right back to Hook.
Yeah, the question is, though, will the Deliverance have Unbreakable, or will they have a Decisive Strike? Based on this body block incoming from the Nia, I imagine it was Unbreakable.
I imagine you are correct. And now they've popped that second far gen, and now they've got it all to do down on this end. And we'll have to see how they play this out. It's going to be a lot of cat and mouse. It's going to be a lot of people spreading out on gens, trying to get as much progress on each of them as they can before they get chased off, trying to draw his attention away. It could be in for a long end game here with this last gen.
Absolutely, and a very tight shot there. I am quite surprised, but the mid-vault, as always, a gift to every killer. And that there will result in Adam being hit, but not taken down. And these survivors doing a smart thing, dropping back to the other half of the map. And, ooh, Deathslinger almost able to get the down there on Adam, but unfortunately not fast enough. A bit of a quick shot, but... since his nerf cannot be faster than that.
And this is one of the reasons why something like this can end up really slow, because if you're trying to pull them down to the other end, essentially what you do is when you get hit, you just run to the other end. Unless you are this Claudette, and unfortunately you actually go down.
Yeah, I mean, Claudette trying to bait out the Deathslinger to the best of their ability, even using the Dead Hard. Deathslinger holding their ground, though, and holding it well. And we do see Scourgehook Pain Resonance coming into play as this gen has been regressed by 15%.
And not only is it regressing, but it's also very good at giving information. So he knows that the ace is somewhere in the vicinity. Although I will say these survivors are doing an incredible job of just resetting, which is, again, what you've got to do in this type of a situation. You pull him to the other end. If he doesn't go, you reset and come back. And that's why things can get a little bit grindy at this point.
I don't know if you saw what I saw, but that there was a For the People. Very cheeky play indeed. But Adam will end up going down for it.
Wow. Back over on this gen again, which, I think is the right thing to be doing, but again, I think this is going to be a long end game.
Yeah, no doubt about that. We do see Adam taking another hit. I don't know, what are your thoughts here with For the People? Do you think that For the People will have Decisive Strike or not? I'm betting yes.
I think yes.
And the answer is yes.
Indeed.
Ooh, and unfortunately, the worst case scenario, though, Deathslinger did not go for the pop on that last gen. We do, however, see a haste status effect, so Noed is now in play. However, it looks like Claudette will drop that pallet early just to be safe.
And the question is, have they realized that he's a speedy boy? Because sometimes you can tell.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Looks like Slinger will end up slugging out the Claudette, trying to go for this Adam. Honestly, a pretty good find here if they're able to get the down quick. However, that Noed way out in the open, I am sure that Adam has made the announcement too. With Claudette being right next to his hook, I think you go for the pickup.
Yeah, I think as well. I think this might be getting a little too greedy, although, you know, we could both be wrong. Sometimes we're wrong, Gilt.
Yeah, you are right. However, Claudette back up off the ground, and I think the Deathslinger is opting to go for the 1K.
Yeah, you got it. At this point, you have to hook, because with no more Noed, that's the loss of speed, it's the loss of the insta-down. There's really no point to not picking up this ace and putting him on a hook. The question is just, will these survivors risk potentially coming in for the save? With a Deathslinger, I'm not sure it's worth it.
Yeah, the thing is here, so I forget, did we see Deliverance? I'm pretty sure we had, right?
We did. I believe the Claude had Deliverance.
I think you're right, and we do see survivors starting to come in. They are greedy for this 4K, or for this 4-man out rather. We see both Nia and Claudette Deathslinger trying to box them out. Will it work, however? Claudette trying to get the unhook, does successfully do so, and looks like Nia will be the next target. Does get the sharpshooter hit, but unfortunately not able to get them towards them with that body block.
That was a beautiful shot, though, and you know, this is Deathslinger. You're heading to the exit gate. Nowhere is safe.
And Deathslinger being smart here, just dragging Adam back as far as they can. Unfortunately, Claudette coming in with the body block and the firecracker to boot. I think this can be a 4-man out. Will Deathslinger get the shot here at the corner? Unfortunately, a miss. And that will be the game.
Wow, wow, wow. But there were some cracked shots at the end there. That shot on the Neo was freaking excellent.
Oh, it was beautiful.
That was a really intense game. That was really, I think for me, that went a little differently than I would have anticipated.
Oh,
but
yeah,
GG's
absolutely.
Both parties. That was great.
Yeah, fantastic game indeed. But that being said, Cult will be taking the reins, and they are going to be killing with the Vommy Mommy herself, the Plague. Once again, on the Suffocation Pit, and based on what we saw there, all they need, I believe, is a 1K before 5 gens to claim set number 2. All right, though. But before we do jump into this next lobby, do want to remind everyone that we are going to take a quick ad break. And as a reminder about that ad break, I do want to remind everyone here that you guys here are our sponsors. So all the ads that you watch, all the bits that you tip, all the subs that you buy, all go towards Champions of the Fog. And all we do here, including our $525 prize pool. So really do appreciate it, and we will see you in just a little bit. All right, and we are back. And we have Colt playing the Vomit Mommy herself against Arctic Wolf Survivor Team. And the win condition here for Colt on this set is a 1k6 hook. However, if the survivors can get a 4-man out before 5 hooks have happened, then they will claim set number 2. So gonna be a close match to say the least. Only time will tell, however, what will happen. And we do see the Plague with double apple, so that means she has chosen violence.
Indeed, as most Plague players do when they wake up in the morning, I hear.
Hey, you know, a little bit of violence, a little bit of vomiting. What else is there for Plague players in the morning?
You know, this is a random thing that I think about. I feel so bad for Plague, right? Because you think about all the killers and what their powers are, and they're all pretty cool. But Plague woke up one day and had really gross vomit, you know? That's rough.
Yeah, you know, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. You do have that incense holder she has there, but outside of that, I mean, her main attack is to vomit on people. I think just as unpleasurable for her to do than it is for survivors to be vomited on.
I would agree with that. And it looks like the survivor is about to find out firsthand with a cheeky pallet slap, though. We love to see it.
However, they did get vomited on nonetheless, so that there is our first infection of the game. And looks like Plague is opting to drop chase there, and with their Corrupt Purge, will hit the Ace. A beautiful shot there, to say the least. And Ace just barely dodging the hit there, trying to stun the Plague out of their power, but Plague, being privy to that plan, will not fall for the bait.
Instead gets this nice hit far enough away from the pallet. Don't have to worry about a stun. And that's going to be our first hook of the game. Pretty quick before the first gen even pops. And still a decent amount of that spicy red vomit left to hunt down some more unsuspecting victims.
Indeed, indeed. And these survivors are very keenly aware of one of the Plague's perk, Athanatophobia, is in the game. So these survivors being slowed down by 10% as both Claudette and Ace are currently injured and or on the hook.
Indeed. So I think, what are you going to do now? Who are you going for? To me, I feel like, well, now that our red vomit's gone, I feel like it's less of a decision. But with that power, I almost wonder if hunting down that Claude might not have been a good choice, given that she was already broken.
I mean, given the win condition that this Plague has, I think sticking around this hook here as they are to tunnel out the Ace is not a bad plan. And we do see BT coming in just in the nick of time. However, Plague here, not to be noticed earlier, does have brutal strength, so that kick a little bit faster and will end up getting the down on the Ace at the pallet.
Unfortunately, also wasting that pallet with that throw there. That's one of those things as a survivor that when you know you're going to go down, you want to try your best not to drop the pallets because you know you're already going down. Oh boy. And this is turning into a not excellent situation. We have a basement hook and we have 3 broken survivors. The options for them right now are not excellent because the moment they all start cleansing, she's going to have an even easier time of getting them down than she already does.
Yeah, and one of the amazing things here when it comes to playing Plague on the Suffocation Pit, these survivors only have so many places to cleanse, and so there is a point in time to where if the Plague just continuously infects them, and they're left with a few pools here on this 3-gen side, I mean, it's a losing and uphill battle to say the least, and I think the Plague is seeing that now as they are going to be grabbing their Corrupt Purge and going to be just trying to box these survivors out from doing much of anything.
The question now is does anybody dare to be brave enough to go for that basement rescue? And we do see someone going, but I don't think they're going to have enough time.
It's gonna be close to say the least, unfortunately unable to get it. Plague now primed and ready for the down, and Zarina will be taking Ace's place.
That is really rough when you get downstairs and they die just in front of you, and then you know you're probably going down as well. That is a horrible feeling as a survivor. I feel very badly for this Serena.
Yeah, I am surprised, though, Plague being very aggressive here and opting not to hook in the basement. I mean, as I said, their win condition is a 1k6 hook. So if they were to just hook Zarina, place her in the basement, and call it a day, let the survivors escape at that point, that there is the match. No doubt about it. But Plague, like we said earlier, woke up and chose violence. Will opt to try and push these survivors off of gens instead.
They are definitely going for some brownie points, like you said, being incredibly aggressive. It looks like the Zarina is still down, and they are not taking the bait.
Yeah, I mean, both survivors injured. We do see the Claudette there, however, and with some Corrupt Purge left over, this Plague is in a prime position to get the down. Claudette just narrowly dodging, but cannot be fast enough, as we now see the Jeff going for the basement pickup.
Interesting. Well,
yeah.
I that was an interesting choice. I don't know. I'm surprised that she didn't immediately just take chase for the Jeff, unless maybe the Claudette has Unbreakable.
I think that they knew that the Jeff was going to get to the pickup before they could, would be my only thought here. And now they should... Ooh, close call. I was going to say, should be able to get 2 slugs down. I'm still surprised not to see them going for a hook here. They're just going for the 3-man slug at this point in time. Zarina, though, going for the pickup on Claudette, and I think Plague has realized, you know what? I can only play this game for so long. Let's finally try and push this game towards the end.
It's true. She could absolutely continue to push for a 4K with the slugs, but at the cost of what, friends? Would take
that
a very
long.
Would take some time to make that happen, and I think that hooking at this point is probably the best decision.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. That will be the first hook there on the Jeff, and as we said earlier, all they need is the 1k6 hook with 4 hooks in. Only 2 more to secure the win, and looks like Jeff will be unhooked. And that there was by Zarina, as we see the injured Claude right behind the Plague.
That was an unfortunate thing that just happened. Do you think she just didn't realize that she was in there?
I don't know. That is a good question there. It definitely seemed like a bit of panic, to say the least. And we will see the Claude slugged out once again. This time Plague going after the Jeff and or Zarina, as both are either infected and or injured.
And I heard the Jeff, as did our Plague.
And Jeff trying to set up for a pallet stun, though. Plague being keen to that idea. And as I've said before, and I'll say again, all mid-vaults are gifts to the killer. And we will see the pickup on the Claudette once again, though. Plague attempting to go for the slug out. And looks like they are going to be on Zarina this time.
Indeed. I'm not ashamed to say that if this were a public match, at this point I would probably just give myself up, because you can keep going, but the inevitability of everyone dying is there. But I commend the survivors for not choosing that route, obviously. And I mean, it's not impossible. I'm looking, they have 2 gens left. The odds are not good for them, but it is not impossible. They could make a really good turnaround. It would just take a lot of really good looping and very few mistakes.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And with 2 survivors down, I don't think we have seen an Unbreakable yet, so it could be in play. But the Plague finally got her wish, and that will be the 3-man slug. And I believe without any Unbreakables, that there will be the game.
And I think I'm not sure there's going to be anyone close enough to try and go for Hatch, so...
I would tend to agree, and looks like the Plague here will opt to cook here on the other side of the map. Probably going to go for the for the Zarina, who was down tier earlier.
Yeah, and she did leave her slugged in the Suffo pit, which means that she could have gotten somewhere, but she may not have gotten very far.
Yep, and sure enough, there they are. And that will be the fourth survivor being sent to the campfire by the entity. And that there will end this match.
Wow. That was brutal. And I'm not just talking about the brutal strength.
Yeah, it was definitely a really good showing here by the Plague. Honestly, the survivors played really well for quite some time too. Unfortunately though, in the end, Plague was able to do what they needed to do and secured the 4K for the set and the match point. And now it just comes down to waiting for these timers to tick on down. And potentially, maybe a deliverance here from this arena. Only time will tell.
I thought the Claudette had deliverance.
It's possible. You know, sometimes things just blend together and go, I don't know what was used at this point.
That's true, and especially with the propensity for broken status effects in a game against the Plague, it's hard to tell.
Indeed, indeed, but this would be their last chance to do so, and unfortunately no deliverance for Zarina, and that there will officially end today's match of Cult versus Arctic Wolves. GG, well played to both teams, and congratulations to Cult for their 3-point victory.
Yeah, that was quite the matchup. Man, that Plague game was really rough. That just got to a place where, once again, the survivors found themselves kind of stalled. There wasn't really anything they could do other than run out the time and hope someone could get a gen done. Unfortunately, it just didn't happen. That Plague played incredibly well, incredibly smart, and very, very aggressively.
Indeed, indeed. But with that being said, that there will be the end of this match. However, though, we are going to be back in just a little bit with Odium versus Dawn in the next 34 minutes. So make sure you guys don't go anywhere, and we will be back soon. Bye-bye.